What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Halving Report podcast with myself, your host, Brad Mines. The price of Bitcoin is $21,200 US, and there are about 542 days left until the next Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin volatility has been at near all-time lows, and we've seen Bitcoin move up about $2,000 in value in the past 10 days. Today, we have the founder and CEO of the Bitcoin Well, the very first publicly traded Bitcoin ATM business. Adam is a fountain of knowledge, beginning his Bitcoin journey as far back as 2013. So let's get right to today's show. Adam, welcome to the Halving Report podcast.
Mr. Brad, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure having you on. I really appreciate your time. Like I was saying in the pre-roll there, that I haven't had somebody from the Bitcoin business, Bitcoin ATM business on the podcast before. So, it's a real pleasure. Maybe you can just start with a brief opening of who you are, Adam, where you're from and how you got into the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency space.
I'm Adam O'Brien. I founder and CEO over here at Bitcoin Well. Interesting anecdote about Bitcoin Well. We were the world's first publicly traded Bitcoin ATM company. And I think the first publicly traded non-custodial Bitcoin company. So that was pretty exciting. We did that in 2021. I found Bitcoin in early mid 2013 and had a really hard time buying it, as everyone did back in 2013. And kind of started doing some peer-to-peer, meeting people at Starbucks or McDonald's, selling them Bitcoin. Shortly thereafter, the world's first Bitcoin ATM was deployed. I saw that, loved it, bought one, and then came and deployed one here in Alberta and then Saskatchewan. And to date, we kind of have a network of over 250 Bitcoin ATMs across Canada.
Wow, man. That's a huge accomplishment. You said non-custodial. That seems like a big part of your mission over there at Bitcoin. Definitely. Well, why is non-custodial so important to you?
In my opinion, and I think this opinion is shared by lots of people, buying Bitcoin is like 10% of the benefits of Bitcoin. Having a Bitcoin derivative, which is basically Bitcoin held on any custodial platform, including ETFs, including Bitcoin on exchanges, on Coinbase, on wherever. That means nothing in the event when you actually need to use the features of Bitcoin, which is self-custody. The reason Bitcoin is so good and so cool is because you can fully own and control it, independent of what anyone else says. Anyone who's in the Bitcoin space and has been for quite a while, chances are their bank has given them some problems, whether it's because they're working in the Bitcoin space, because they've invested in Bitcoin. We all know that banks don't like Bitcoin. And that's actually a really interesting kind of look into what happens when someone doesn't like you and if your money is stored with them. If you have money or coins sitting in Coinbase, and tomorrow Coinbase decides that they don't like you, guess what? You're not getting their coins, or you're not getting your coins. And I said their coins because it's actually their coins. It's their coins. You have an IOU for Bitcoin from Coinbase, from ShakePay, from wherever. And that's what happens in a custodied environment. In a non-custodial or in a user custodied environment, users take full custody of their Bitcoin immediately upon transaction, which is the most important part about Bitcoin.
Right. Now, would you advocate for wealthier individuals to maybe have some with a custodian and then some privately stored, or how would you go about managing big net worths of cryptocurrency?
I have yet to see a custodian handle Bitcoin properly. Every single custodian on planet Earth is susceptible to incompetence by their staff, to malfeasance by their staff or by executives, honeypots, they're massive honeypots for hackers. And even if their security is top drawer, government overreach. When government comes knocking and the government says, hey, by the way, owning Bitcoin is illegal, which happened about 100 years ago with gold. When the government comes and says, hey, you got to give us all your Bitcoin, what's the custodian going to do? Who's the custodian going to be earnest to? The government, who's going to threaten them with violence and jail, or the customer who has literally zero recourse over the custodian. Like the risks are so incredibly massive when you leave coins with a custodian that I can't possibly fathom like, what are you earning? Like what is the custodian giving you that could possibly be a benefit to hosting coins or to having coins on their servers? I've yet to come across a valid answer. And I would debate, like every answer I've heard thus far is like security. Well, that's not really that true. And I can't think of another one where the benefits outweigh the risks.
Now, what does regulation look like in Canada for Bitcoin ATMs? And do you find that going to change in the future, or what are your thoughts around that?
We're quite well regulated now. Bitcoin ATMs, because they're non-custodial, the Securities Commission sees them as way less risky for consumers. We're actually regulated differently than what a custodial exchange would be, because the consumer is not even close to susceptible to our business practices, because they send cash and they get Bitcoin immediately. And so I think it's a benefit. We're seeing the benefit of that right now. I think that over time we'll kind of see that merge and we'll see just Bitcoin ownership be regulated as a whole. We're a money service business, so we're regulated by FinTrack. We oblige by all the FinTrack laws and KYC where it's needed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But as a whole, right now in Canada, operating a Bitcoin ATM is a lot easier and less risky which is deemed by the Securities Commission than buying Bitcoin from an exchange online.
Are all the machines KYC, or you don't have to give KYC to your machines when you're purchasing with cash?
Yeah, so we do have to verify customers to make sure that they're not purchasing Bitcoin over certain amounts without giving ID. So there's kind of different levels to how we do that. The machine uses like Bitcoin address, phone number, and then in some cases, like over a certain amount, phone number in completion with like full identity scan. Like, the one you scan your ID, you scan your face and the whole bit. So it really depends on our level of compliance really depends on the usage and how much that user wants to buy.
You got a pretty cool piece of Bitcoin art behind you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you get that?
Yeah, that's from a company called Lynx Art. They've done a couple pieces. I've got over here, I've got the white paper on that same kind of like black metallic piece. It's really, really cool. And then up here, we've got some Madex art, which is pretty cool. Those have those are lots of those are personal. Actually, this one here, this one right there, it says "Don't wait." You can't really see it on the bottom. It says "Don't wait" there, and that's a slogan. This one says "Don't wait" as well. The guys here at the office, they hear me shouting "Don't wait" all the time. We like to move fast at Bitcoin well, and so that's something that has been adopted around here, which is pretty cool. And then at the center there, we've got a deconstructed iPhone 4S. I think it's cool to see the inner workings of like that technology. The 4S was like, I guess the 3GS was probably the best kind of innovation to the iPhone, but the 4S was kind of like the biggest step up in terms of speed. And it's interesting how garbage that phone is right now, but what a marvel it was during its day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Were you one of those ones who had the very first iPhone and kind of been there along the way, or have you switched
I wasn't old enough to have the very first iPhone. I kind of fell into iPhone ownership at, I think, probably the 3G level. But they're like the iPhone, and then there was the iPhone 3 and then the iPhone 3G, I think is how it went. So I was pretty early. And then I think I've had every iPhone since then. Yeah, I've been an iOS and iPhone guy for the majority of my adult life.
Yeah, same here. I had a couple stints where I went over to the Android and then just didn't work for me. Ended up going back. But
dude, it's funny you say that. I did the same thing when I was like maybe 20 or 21. I was like, let's see how the other side lives and kind of go through it. And it was a huge nightmare to port my phone number like out of like the iCloud messenger, the iMessage. And now like the Apple ecosystem has just like sucked me right in. I'm like an Apple cyborg at this point.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it works nice when you have MacBook, you got the iPhone, and things just work well.
That's
It
it.
just sucks. Everything's proprietary, and you have to pay something separate all the time, right? But once you're in that world, it's hard to get out.
Totally, man.
So you mentioned earlier that you were the first Bitcoin ATM company to go public. When did you guys go public? How did things go, and why should users buy the Bitcoin well on the TSX?
Yeah. So going public was obviously it gave us a little bit of access to capital, but that's useless right now, right? No one's raising any money right now. There's absolutely no money to be had on public markets. But what we needed out of it more so was legitimacy. We actually you can kind of track it back to us actually officially going public, which was in July 2021. So a little over a year and a half ago, or not quite a year and a half ago, I guess. Like banking opened up, armored cars opened up, auditors opened up, insurance opened up, like for the entire industry. It was like, once there was precedent, once there was someone to look, like once the industry, the Bitcoin ATM industry had kind of gone through and seen the due diligence, like we went through 5 rounds of diligence with auditors and lawyers and accountants and the venture, and it was excruciating. And I think that legitimacy was really invaluable, and we did it, and the whole industry benefited, which is fine. Like I'm a big proponent of the free market and of the free market benefiting off of my back. I've got no problem with that. But it was really, it was a big haul, and I'm really happy we did it. Obviously our share price right now, like we're incredibly undervalued in my opinion. We just released our Q3 earnings yesterday or this morning, and we're showing good growth, and I'm really excited for the future of our organization. We've got this kind of core business unit, like these Bitcoin ATMs that we're talking about, and then just the last few months we've been building out this online ecosystem where people can buy, sell, and use Bitcoin online. They can pay their bills online, buy Bitcoin in a non-custodial environment, sell Bitcoin in a non-custodial environment. We're really going after this kind of non-custodial piece to give users the ability to hold and control their Bitcoin while having it be functional from their hot wallets. So I'm really excited for the future of Bitcoin well.
Are there certain hardware wallets that you guys stick to, or are you guys open to different ones and people come with you to use different ones? Will you say, no, we're not going to help you if you're using this one? Like, or how do you guys go about that?
No, we try to help everyone out. I mean, there's the big, right? Trezor and Ledger hold the monopoly. We recommend Cold Card for like if you understand Bitcoin the slightest amount, you're ready for a Cold Card, and we use them internally. And I love the guys over at Cold Card. I think they're wicked. And so we do try to get users using Cold Card where possible. We're giving one away right now. Actually, we've got this like scavenger sats competition. We put 690,000 sats in a seed phrase, and we're releasing the seed phrase over time on Twitter. So that's been kind of fun and kind of cool. But like at the end of the day, like obviously the beauty of a Cold Card or of a hardware wallet is you just need it. Like it just gives you public address, right? That's what you need. Like everything else should be locked and offline. And as long as you've got your public address from that hardware wallet, you can interact with Bitcoin well, which I think is the best case scenario.
In regards to support for various coins, how do you get, like, what coins do you guys support through the Bitcoin ATM purchasing? And do you guys have more features of expansion in the future, or do you guys stick to a certain few?
No, we're pretty much Bitcoin only. We do have a couple utility coins on there. Like Litecoin is available on the ATMs, and I think Ethereum or ETH a little bit. But to give you a sense of scope, like I think it's 95% of our volume is Bitcoin, and the other 5 is split between those two. The ATMs though are a marketplace, and that's how we see it. And so we do try to like put coins out that are in demand while having a sense of pride and a sense like we feel a lot of ownership and a lot of what's the word, with great power comes great responsibility. The old Spider-Man quote, like when you're selling bullshit coins, like all the scam coins that exist in the world, and frankly, in my opinion, Litecoin and ETH, like they do creep into that category. But we do have a sense of we feel we feel an onus to our user not to sell them garbage out of the machine. And so we are a Bitcoin only platform online, and at the ATMs, it's a very, very limited few because of significant demand.
Right. So are you like in your personal, are you like very much in terms of allocation, like Bitcoin maxi then? Or
Totally.
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely anything other than Bitcoin is just the crypto casino at this point. Like even the likes of like the top 10, like the top 10 shuffles around like crazy. It is purebred crypto casino from number 2 to number 16,000 or whatever, however many cryptos there are now. And I have yet to see, like, the ethos behind Bitcoin is sound money, right? It's scarce, it's transferable, it's authenticated, and it's decentralized. That is not true of literally any other cryptocurrency on the market. Like none. And I think that the reason why I save in Bitcoin is because I want the value that I have today to extend into the future. I don't need a fast horse right now. I don't need to go to the blackjack table and try and 100x my money. I want my value today to extend to my children and my great-grandchildren and my great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. And I think that anyone who's kind of looking past Bitcoin has that like kind of gambler's mindset, that crypto casino mindset, and doesn't really want or need their value to extend long-term. They want short-term bumps. I've done that. I've tried that. It's worked. It hasn't worked. That's fine, but make no mistake, it's the crypto casino. And I think holding anything other than Bitcoin is just the crypto casino, and I just don't partake in that.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said last podcast that Bitcoin is, the gains of Bitcoin are good enough for me, and I don't need to gamble at this point. I said maybe down the future, when I'm sitting on millions and millions, maybe I want to gamble here because I'm so bored or something.
Sure, but there's there's even safer ways to gamble, right? Like playing, like gambling in the fiat stonk market is a better way, because at least you can do it through a TFSA and get tax advantages. Like gambling with random shit coin of the month, like more often than not, you're gonna get burnt or scammed. It's a wild market, and the fact that so many people have lost so much money and people still choose to participate in that is pretty insane.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still the same story. I feel like a lot of new people coming into the space, they always think, what's the next big cryptocurrency, right? And they haven't taken the time to really understand Bitcoin yet. So I think they're more easily fooled and drawn into those types of investments, right? But
yeah, well, that's just it. Like they're not coming at it from the Bitcoin ethos, right? Which is like that low time preference. Like holding things other than Bitcoin, you've got such a high time preference. You need it to snap right away. You invest and then you exit, hopefully higher than you invest. That kind of time preference, that doesn't work with the Bitcoin philosophy. And hopefully our world moves closer and closer towards a Bitcoin standard, which will punish that kind of behavior and not reward it, which is, I think, like, frankly, I think we're moving towards it faster than some people care to admit.
So you see Bitcoin as the next world reserve currency, then, I take it?
Yeah, yes and no. Like a world reserve currency requires a lot of bureaucrats to agree. I don't think that the bureaucrats are incentivized to agree on Bitcoin. So I see it bypassing the world reserve, and I see it being a money for the people. I see Bitcoin as being the separation of money and state. And the same way the church and state separated in the late 1800s, the church was kind of like blocked off from the state's communication. I think we're going to see the flip here, and money is going to be able to block off the state from its communication. And the separation of money and state is a massive step towards freedom for individuals. And so I'm pretty confident and hopeful in our world if we do see that separation of money and state. I am less hopeful if the state tries to get involved and make it a world reserve currency, whatever that might mean.
Right. So What do you guys look like for in regards to fees on the machines? Is that depending on tiers and how much you're purchasing at the same time? And does it differ much from your new online purchasing compared to the physical machines?
Yeah, it's a completely different product, right?
Yeah.
Buying Bitcoin at the ATMs is more of a convenience for utility. People that are buying Bitcoin at the machines are they need Bitcoin right away. They're usually unbanked or need it. They have cash that they need to spend, or they're sending money like remittances. And so it's a completely different product from like the online product, which is super price competitive, spreads between 1% and 2% online, for example, no withdrawal fees, no deposit fees, no trading fees, just a spread. And then at the ATMs, we've got spreads in some cases as high as 15%, sometimes like usually in between 9 and 15%. And then we usually have a promo code kicking around the website that gets you kind of half off that spread, anywhere from like 30 to 50% off that spread. So generally, like they're two completely different products, and they're priced accordingly. I think though that the key advantage to buying Bitcoin at an ATM is that it's instant, it's fast, and it's completely trustless. Your money goes into a machine, and within 8 seconds, you've got Bitcoin on chain back to your wallet. Our new online platform is that fast, but you're still trusting the Interact system. You're trusting our payment provider. You're trusting us to send the coins. We've got a physical office, and you could come beat us up if we didn't send the coins, obviously. But it's a little bit more peace of mind having that cash right there where you put it. And you have to pay for that kind of convenience, and there's a lot less risk there. Online, though, like we built a platform that gives users the ability to buy Bitcoin with Interact e-transfer from bank on chain in like less than 10 seconds. No order books, no account funding, no messing around, no custody. It is just straight pure Bitcoin into your hot wallet, your cold wallet, wherever you want to send it. You give us a public address, that's where we send Bitcoin. So we've definitely made a product for kind of both sides of the market, and starting to look at ways that we can integrate those two business units and make kind of that fully fledged ecosystem, similar to what the banking industry did, 60, 70 years ago.
Now, is there any disadvantages to being a non-custodial service?
Yeah, it's fucking hard. It's like we can't, like we don't have any customer funds to spend. Yeah. I would hazard a guess that every, if not nearly every custodial exchange is running fractional right now. So we have no customer funds that we can draw on to innovate with our product. We have no back-end interest to make off of customer deposits. We can't just make these instant transfers because they're just numbers on a balance sheet. Everything is a lot harder when you're building a non-custodial platform. From the user's perspective, it is way better. Through and through, it is way better. Even the guys running the non-custodial or the custodial brokerages, they'll tell you being a non-custodial brokerage or buying there is way better. It's just super, super hard to build, which is why it's taken us so long to kind of get here and perfect the way that it looks and feels.
Well, I mean, it's certainly admirable, from a outside standpoint to see a company doing that, because, you're keeping the ideals of Bitcoin, which is really awesome to see. Adam, you've been around the space for a long time, 2013. I don't always speak to people that's been in this space for this long. How did you see things back then? And did you kind of envision where we'd be today, or, what were the biggest differences, would you say?
That's a good question, man. I think that like 10 years ago or 10 years ago, it felt like we were all working towards something, and that something wasn't super clear. It wasn't even really Bitcoin adoption. It was just like figuring out Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin was this protocol that was just dumped on the world with no help. And we all had to kind of like help each other through figuring out the Bitcoin protocol, which was amazing. It was super, super cool. Now we're at this point where like really back then, anyone you told Bitcoin, anyone you talked to and told them about Bitcoin kind of looked at you like you were crazy. And frankly, it probably sounded crazy. Like oh, the bank can steal your money, and the government can steal your money, and inflation is going to go through the roof, and like, now, like, it's very vindicating with the fact that, like, here in Canada, like, we've seen there's precedent for the government just straight up going in and freezing funds. There's precedent for record high inflation with outrageous monetary policy at the federal level. There's precedent for all these things that the Bitcoiners have been talking about for the last 10 years. There's now precedent for it happening. And so we don't seem so crazy anymore. But really, it was like this belief that it could happen, and then finding the solutions for when it does. And that was cool. That was really cool. I remember, like, being in Vancouver, and there's like 12 Bitcoiners in Vancouver, and we all just hung out. We knew who each other were. We, like, got to hang out with the OGs. You go to Montreal, the first thing I do when I travel is, like, find the Bitcoin meetup. And, like, the Bitcoin meetup back then was like 5 people in a city, right? It wasn't these, like, big monetized sponsored events that you see today. It was like, hey, where's a cheap basement we can find to, like, have coffee and chat about Bitcoin? And it wasn't about gains. It wasn't about losses. It wasn't about trading algorithms. It wasn't about all this garbage we hear today. It was about pure Bitcoin protocol and about saving the world's money, fixing the money. And that was cool, man. That was really cool. Now I think we're corporate. We're incentivized by gains, where everyone's a crypto bro online talking about algorithms that 1000x overnight. Like, it's just scam city, right? But back then it was like, truly, it was safer as the Wild West, because the people that were in it had to be in it for the right reasons, because no one got rich in Bitcoin in the early days. It was cool. It was really cool.
Thanks for sharing the experience of those days. What do you like to do when you're not doing everything Bitcoin related?
Man, I got a pile of kids at home. My wife and I have 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
And it is so much fun being a dad, man. I'm the coach of my son's hockey team right now, and that's super cool. My daughters and I got 2 daughters that are aged 5 and 3, and we like to go to parks and hang out, go to swimming. And then I got, like, a little son who's just 8 months. Him and I don't do too much yet. We kind of just roll around on the floor and wrestle. He's not very good. I usually pin him down pretty easily. But yeah, man, it's super fun being a dad. And then when I'm out and about, I like to play golf, and kind of just hang out with my buddies. Catch a sports game. I've been into boxing the last few years, and I'm a pretty chill guy, man. I like to just hang out. Honestly, Bitcoin and Bitcoin well consume like 90% of my time. My family gets like 9.9% of my time, and 0.1 that's left, I'm like, just doing whatever comes up.
Awesome. And did you guys do, like, with Bitcoin Wall, do you guys do many events?
Not as of late. We've started thinking about it. Like, right now, if I'm being honest, like, we went through a pretty serious shift as a business where, like, we could snap our fingers and raise 10 million bucks in a minute. Like, it was no problem. Now cash is a lot more valuable, and we're treating it as such. And so that's good news to investors, obviously, because they want to see the cash go as far as possible. And we're finding ways to make our cash go far. And so what we've tried to do is put that money into the product. Now that the product is like our new dashboard and our new portal is sick. Like, it's really, really wicked. I'm pretty excited about it. Now that that's built and we've kind of got this, like, bit of breathing room in now, it's time to turn on the marketing engine, which will mean events and customer bonuses and customer referrals and things like this. So definitely keen and excited to fire that engine back up. Probably not in the next month or 2, but super excited for the new year to start hosting some events. And there's rumors of a Bitcoin event happening in the new year in Calgary, which I'm pretty excited for.
Sweet, man. Well, you'll have to let me know, and I'll see if I can make it. Are you live in Calgary?
I live in Edmonton, which is a couple hours away from Calgary. Yeah, I've been born and raised here. Our head office is here. It's been a good place to be.
Yeah. No, I lived in Calgary from 2014 to 2017, 4 years.
Right on.
Yeah. So I was that's why I was out there. I was visiting. I still own a condo there. So I was just, visiting, girlfriend and I kind of bouncing around there, see the mountains. It was her first time. And, cool. I went for food and randomly came across the Bitcoin well. And I was surprised that I never had heard of you or seen you guys around before.
Yeah, we've kind of had our we've been in the Bitcoin ATM space, right?
Yeah.
Which is completely different from online, but now we've got the second business unit. Like we're going after the likes of kind of the big custodial exchanges and really showing people that like, hey, you can buy Bitcoin just as fast, if not faster, just as cheap, if not cheaper, and way safer by using a non-custodial Bitcoin platform. And that's what we're set out to do.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to open it up for you now. If there's any final words of wisdom you can give myself or my listeners, anything you want to say at the end here. If not, maybe just let us know where we can follow you and learn more, Adam.
I think that anyone listening right now, I would absolutely implore you to look at where you're spending money, look at what you own, and figure out if you actually own it. It's quite an interesting exercise to realize that we don't actually own too much when you think about it, mostly because things can't get fixed or you're reliant on somebody else. And then, you put that same thought to the test with Bitcoin, and I'm talking about Bitcoin that you have self-custodied, and you realize that you do own it, and the value of it really increases. So I would say, anyone listening, self-custody your Bitcoin. Don't mess around trusting someone else with your Bitcoin. And yeah, that's it. If you want more thoughts like that, more mantra like that, you can follow me on Twitter at Adam O'Brien _ or on YouTube. We're starting to do a bit more YouTube content, which has been pretty fun. I'm just Adam O'Brien or Adam OB on YouTube, which is pretty fun.
Adam, I really appreciate your time. I love talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again in the future sometime. And I love the mission of Bitcoin Well. So again, much appreciated for doing this, man.
Amazing. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
Thank you all for listening to the Halving Report podcast. Please like and subscribe to the show. Check out the show notes below, share it with a friend, and we'll see you back next time.